Squiz Kids acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we podcast, the Turrbal and Kombumerri people.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Christy Kijarina. It's Thursday, October 10. In Squiz Kids Today, a second storm strikes Florida. Aussies in Lebanon make it home. Fake news hurricane hoaxes and a fat bear champion crowned. That's what's making news kid style.
The Lowdown.
As this podcast goes to air this morning, let's take a moment to think about the people of Florida, a state in the southeast United States. Florida is mostly a peninsula, which means it sticks out into the ocean surrounded by water on three sides. I've stuck a link to a map of Florida in your episode notes if you want to check it out. So right now, a massive storm called Hurricane Milton is hitting Florida's coastline. It's one of the biggest storms that people can remember, with winds up to 300 kilometres an hour. Wowzers! This type of storm is called a Category 5 hurricane, the strongest that there is. We've done a shortcut to cyclones, hurricanes and typhoons. If you want to learn more about these giant storms, I've stuck a link in the episode notes. You might remember from last week's podcast that the poor people of Florida are only just starting to clean up after Hurricane Helene, with 300 dump trucks removing thousands of tons of debris. They're now facing another challenge. Almost 6 million people have been ordered to leave their homes as damaging winds, storm surges of ocean water, which are waves up to 5 metres high, and more than 60 centimetres of rainfall threaten to flatten and flood homes and cut off power and road access for days, if not weeks. Squiz Kids' thoughts are with you, Florida. We hope you stay safe. Meanwhile, back here in Australia, the summer storm season has kicked off with a bang. Queensland and New South Wales are getting hit with some serious thunderstorm action this week. Think strong winds, huge hailstones, and rain coming down in buckets. To make sure you're ready for it, the Bureau of Meteorology, that's the BOM, has alerts that adults can sign up to for using their weather app. And hey, if you've got a dog who turns into a big scaredy pup at the sound of thunder, I'm looking at you, fluffy friends, you might want to keep them safe inside where it's a little less scary. Stay dry, everyone.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Lebanon, a country to the north of Israel, where nearly 4,000 Aussies have asked the Australian government to help them get back home. You see, Lebanon has been caught up in the fighting between Israel and a group called Hezbollah, making it a really dangerous place for both the people who live there and for Aussies who are visiting. You might be surprised to learn that around 500,000 Australians have Lebanese heritage, so it's possible that you know someone with family connections to the country. To help those who want to return, the Australian government has been organising special flights to bring them home. There were plenty of hugs and happy tears at Sydney Airport earlier this week when the first 350 people arrived back safely. While it's been a really tough time for many, it's heartwarming to see families reunited and people coming home to safety.
Animal Kingdom.
Whew, we've covered some serious stuff today. So now it's time for Fat Bear Week. Our favourite time of the year at Squiz Kids HQ, where we watch the bears of Katmai National Park in Alaska stuff themselves silly with salmon to fatten up for their winter hibernation. And we get to vote on who's gotten the fattest. On Tuesday, the competition had come down to 2 semi-finalists. Mama Bear Grazer, who you might remember was my pick, who is also busy raising a cub at the moment, what a legend, and Chunk, a full-grown male grizzly who's more than double Grazer's size at around 500 kilos, but is he fatter? In the past week, more than 1 million people from around the world had their say, and yesterday, with a whopping 40,000 vote lead, the winner was Grazer! Big ups for working mums. Now, with Fat Bear Week over, maybe I can finally get some work done.
News hounds.
Every Thursday, Squizzy the News Hound sticks his snout into Squiz Kids HQ to report back on fishy things he sniffed out on the internet. And today, he looks a bit sad. And that's because misinformation is spreading like wildfire in the United States after Hurricane Helene caused widespread damage to hundreds of communities. There are lots of false claims doing the rounds on social media about how the disaster relief agency FEMA is not helping people affected by the hurricane. And it's not helped by the fact that many of the false claims are being spread by Donald Trump, one of the two people running to be the President of the United States. Why would he do that, I hear you ask? Because he thinks it can make his political opponents look bad and maybe get more people to vote for him, even if that means spreading information that isn't true. If you're among the thousands of Aussie kids who've already done News Hounds, our free media literacy program, you'd know that misinformation is information that is not true, but that people share innocently, thinking that they're helping out. Then there's disinformation, which is information that people spread knowing full well that it's untrue. Both are everywhere on the internet, which is why we always have to do as Squizzy tells us, and that's stop, think and check before believing everything we see. Thanks, Squizzy, you've done it again.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. What number represents the strongest category of a hurricane or cyclone? Did you say category 5? Well, you're right. Question number 2. Roughly how many Australians claim to have Lebanese ancestry? Nice listening if you remembered that it's 500,000 Aussies. Question number 3. Which of the Katmai National Park's bears won the Fat Bear Week crown for 2024? That's right, her name is Grazer.
Shoutouts.
It's Thursday, October 10, Walk to a Park Day. So grab a friend, get off your games and get outside into some green spaces, people. It's also a special day for these Squiz kids celebrating a birthday today. Theo from Box Hill, Amu from Thagoona, Nicola from Wagga Wagga, Toby from Yagara Country, Elise from Everton Hills, Angela from St Ives, Duke from Altona Meadows, Theo from Canberra and Kieran from Luscantire. Belated birthday shoutouts go to Kitty May from Pimble and Olivia from Denniston. Classroom shoutouts are back this week for those of you in Queensland, Victoria, WA and the NT. And this week they go to classes LA 10 and 12 with Mr Hanson and Mrs Harmon at Atwell Public School. Class M19 with Ms Massotti at St Eugene College in Burpengary. Class 6C with Mrs Heber at Roxburgh Rise Primary School. And lastly, but totally not leastly, Class 6A with Mrs Nielsen at International School of Helsingborg in Sweden. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au or fill out the form on our website. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow with the Kids versus Adults weekly news Squiz. See who's smarter, kids or adults. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.